just quickly for me, Google Doolittle cast. Just do a little bit of a scroll.
Oh no.
Until you see all the fucking people that are in this movie.
What? No. I know everyone here.
This is what I'm saying, Corey.
I might say I like Will Arnett, but he's on the 5th line of this, and it's like, that's a lot of people.
Corey, fucking Octavia Spencer, Emma Thompson, Rami Malek, Kumail Nanjiani, Tom Holland, Ralph Fiennes, Marion Cotillard, Jason Mantzoukas. I haven't even finished naming people.
Sweet Christmas.
Shout out to my birds.
Hello. This is Che.
This is Corey.
And this is the Next Time On Podcast, a podcast where two lifelong friends discuss all things amazing and all things founded in popular culture. Today, of course, we will be doing a deep dive on the Cat Williams podcast, in which he spent 2 hours, I think, drunk off his ass on Henny, talking about how every famous black person is actually a pedophile. I didn't listen to any of it. What was he talking about, Corey? Why is he so mad?
You just texted me what the fuck's wrong with Cat Williams, and I was just like, I don't know, it's a lot, and I didn't know there was context to that. I was just thought you were just pondering what's wrong with Cat Williams. So.
It's another one of the cultural experiences in the world. I don't know if it's if it's been isolated to black culture, if it's filtered out to the culture at large, but it's another one of those things where I have found out all the information about it against my will. It's all like shit that's been served to me by people sending it to me, or I'm going on Instagram and I just get 4 different clips of him talking to Shannon Sharp about how Dave Chappelle or Chris Tucker or somebody is a fake. I can't stand it. I never really liked Cat Williams, to be honest with you. I'm not going to start now that he's doing the podcast circuit. That's not what we're talking about today. Today what we're talking about in reality is for our first... I'm just going to say our first episode of 2024. It's not really the case. Our best of 2023 episodes did technically drop in the new year because Corey and I got sick. If you haven't checked those out, go over to nexttimeon.net or check out all of our social media, including our YouTube at Next Time On Pod, youtube.com/@nexttimeonpod for all those great episodes, all the past episodes. We got some bangers from last year, including one of my favorites we've ever done, the Love Actually Curse of the Rewatch, one of my favorite Curse of the Rewatch from the past year. All that stuff is all over there. You can check that out if you haven't done that already. But today we are going to be talking about what we are most excited for coming in 2024. Corey and I each picked 10 of our most anticipated books, movies, TV shows. I tried to look for albums, but like albums in 2024 now no longer get like a release date. They just appear on your Spotify. So we'll see. But that's what we're doing today. I already did the points of business. So let's just jump into it. Before we get to our lists, there was a few big ticket items that neither of us put on our lists. And I just wanted to go over maybe why they didn't, talk about them really quick. Because if Corey... The listeners can't see my doc, but Corey can see my doc, and it is like a fever dream of insane.
You did text it to me in the middle, like late last night, as I showed it to somebody else, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why does he have so many? There's so many there, and I'm like, I didn't know there was this much stuff. To be fair, I really didn't do much of a deep dive into comics, besides the ones I already really knew about. Yeah. So that's like
comics are another one that were harder to find information on what is coming. There was some stuff, and I have some comics here, but.
I mean, the big two don't really tell you what they're putting out 6 months from now, so they do it intentionally. So,
yeah. So a couple of things that didn't make our list. First up, I just wanted to mention, which I think is for a lot of people their most anticipated movie of the year, and that is Gladiator 2 by Ridley Scott.
Didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, okay. Well, that answers why it's not
until
on Corey's list.
literally 3 seconds ago. I read it and I'm like, is this actually real? Okay.
So Gladiator 2 has been rumored for quite a while. The cast is nuts. It includes Paul Mescal, Barry Keogh, Pedro Pascal, Digimon Hansu, whose name I'm surely saying wrong, and then of course as Hannibal, Denzel Washington. The cast is nutty, but why didn't it make my list? We found out why I didn't make Corey's list. I think it just got edged out I'd put it in the, like, if we were doing like a top 25, it'd probably make my list. But I just have found Ridley Scott, especially in his entire career, but especially recently, really, really, really hit or miss in a way that is like really low lows. There are parts of House of Gucci from 2021 that I think is some of the worst cinema I've ever seen, and pretty high highs. Like, I think The Martian, which is now entering its 8 years ago, but also The Last Duel from literally the same year as House of Gucci, I thought was fantastic. So I don't know if I can be excited for this movie, despite the fact that I love Gladiator, probably my favorite.
I mean,
Ridley
this
Scott
cast is truly
the cast
insane.
is insane, right? Fucking, I didn't even mention Joseph Quinn, everyone's darling from Stranger
Did you
Things,
just say?
isn't it?
I didn't even perceive you saying Denzel Washington.
Yeah, Denzel
when
Washington's
you were
playing
going
Hannibal. He's going to be a villain for the first time since, I want to say, since Training
Macbeth?
Day. Oh, if you count Macbeth, yeah, sure. Yeah.
I count. Well, it depends on who you're asking.
Yes, I would say Macbeth is a bad guy, but he's not the antagonist. He's the protagonist of the story.
Yes,
But
he is.
I agree. So that, I would say, that's why I didn't make my list. We haven't really talked about Napoleon on this podcast yet.
I had never got a chance to actually see Napoleon.
You didn't see Napoleon.
I
Napoleon
didn't watch it yet.
is, I think, really the Ridley Scott late career experience in a nutshell, where I don't really get why he decided to make this movie. I don't really get why the people that signed on to make it decided to make it. And while watching it, I didn't enjoy it. And then afterward, I go, did knighted Ridley Scott, Sir Ridley Scott,
I didn't know he was
OBE,
British.
did he make a movie about one of the biggest French heroes of all time, as like a roast of Napoleon in France? And in that frame of reference, I think Napoleon might be a masterpiece, but I don't know if that was the intention.
I don't think the English have a lot of high regard for Napoleon, so that
that's-
might be it.
Corey, I'm not. It's a tough ask to ask somebody to watch.
Is
a
this
movie.
the year that we're making fun of France? Because I'm all for it, man. This Anatomy of a Fall, like, let's just like I guess last year would have been it, but
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out.
we'll see with one of the films that I think I don't know where you talk about. We are going to talk about a film about that in a second, but.
Another one that didn't quite make either of our lists that I think is really up both of our alleys is it's going to be a late year edition, the Wolves film by John Watts, or Wolves. I don't
I think
so
it's-
confused.
Ugh.
If you Google Wolves spelled Wolves, it comes up, and then the IMDb page is WOLFS. I don't know. But this is John Watts, who people will probably be most familiar with as the director of Spider-Man, Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home, is making seems like thriller action movie starring Brad Pitt and George Clooney, who's George Clooney sort of reprising his role as like Michael Clayton in a different movie. It's a movie about two fixers trying to fix the same job.
Okay, I mean, I wasn't entirely aware of this whatsoever, but apparently they're already in talks for a sequel to the film that hasn't even been out yet. So,
and that sentence is why I got really worried, because I was like, "What is this movie gonna?" I mean, I love John Watts, I love Brad Pitt, and I love George Clooney. John Watts has never made a movie quite like this, which already has me a bit on the edge. I mean, it's probably closest to his breakout film Cop Car. Have you ever seen Cop Car, Corey?
never saw Cop Car. No,
You
they
know-
lied to
you
his
know what
face.
Cop Car is?
Yeah, I lied to his face and said I saw it. Yeah.
Oh, to John Watts. That's right. Corey, breaking news on the podcast.
Whoa, hold on
Corey,
now.
Corey told me once in confidence, and I'm telling all of
confidence.
you now,
Please don't.
John Watts is a lovely man, very nice, incredibly generous with his time. Man can't dance to save his life.
All right, let's keep moving. In confidence.
I think that's fair. We all say we love John Watts.
Yeah, no, we do. I do. Listen. Spider-Man, the Spider-Mens, they slap.
They do. Probably, listen, unarguably the best Spider-Man trilogy. Inarguably.
Oh, absolutely. I don't like people who tell me otherwise. They're wrong.
Something's wrong with him.
I'm the nerd with the podcast. I'm right about this shit.
Next up is a movie that would have been my number one. 100%. Is probably the most anticipated movie in my recent memory. Except for, I don't believe it. I don't believe this movie will happen. And that is the Megalopolis film by Francis Ford Coppola, which is like a $200 million epic sci-fi film starring everyone. It's got all the people in it, every person you've ever heard of, and has been in production for, I think, 37 years or something like that. He's been making it since before World War One, back in the 1800s. Yeah, I don't know. If this movie comes out in 2024, I will be a happy boy. Don't get me wrong, but I don't believe it. Corey, do you believe it?
No, I mean, I've been hearing about this film for years.
Years, literally years.
Oh, it actually has finished shooting about a year, almost a year ago.
It seems like this might be the year of Megalopolis. We don't have an official release date, which is always my sign that, like, actually they have shown a cut to a producer and an executive, and, like, they have a release date. This would be Francis Ford Coppola, the director of The Godfather, among other incredible American films such as Apocalypse Now and The Conversation, one of the greatest directors of all time. This would be his first stint behind the camera since 2016. And really, if we're being honest with ourselves, his first stint behind the camera since 1997. I don't acknowledge anything after The Rainmaker. I think everything that he did after that was like a ploy to set up his wine business. And it's been successful. Apparently, he's an incredibly successful winer. We'll go with winer. That's the word.
Yeah, right? He's good. It's good wine. I like it.
I never had it.
Give it away. I give it away as gifts.
So, will you be coming down to DC to watch the premiere of Megalopolis if it actually comes out in 2024, Corey? I'd like this on the record now.
I will come down to see this film. But I don't believe it's going to happen.
No, neither do I.
I mean, like, I think it probably will be aiming for, like, award season, though, and cons. Like, this is going to be end of the year, kind of.
I think so. This is I mean, the fact that it doesn't have a date right now suggests that if anything, it's going to be at the earliest October, September, and probably, like you're saying, in the November, December range, if we're getting it. I implore anyone who is not familiar with Megalopolis, which is, a horrible title, but just go to the IMDb and scroll through the images and feast upon the attire and whatever the fuck is going on with Shia LaBeouf. Just take a gander.
And this is interesting. I just saw Adam Driver's hair, and
yeah,
guys, it looks like a Caesar haircut. And I never mean that as a compliment to anyone who's ever had that haircut.
And this is in part why I did not make my list. I'm very excited. I'm also very, very terrified. But that brings us to our last on the...
It looks like they look like they're dressed as Hunger Games characters. All right, I'm sorry.
That's actually that's a very good explanation for audio listeners. But that brings us to our last, not quite on the list. This movie has an official release date coming in May of this year. The follow-up to... I think mine, and I don't know about you, Corey. I think maybe one of our favorite action movies in recent years.
I think we did our top best of the 2010s, and this was definitely in our top 10 film. I think it was pretty hot. Might have been my number one.
I think it's inarguably Mad Max Fury Road. We're talking about Furiosa, a Mad Max saga by George Miller coming this year, the sequel to that film.
Hate that name.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
The darkest of angels. The question is, do you have it in you to make it epic?
I think inarguably Mad Max Fury Road is the best action movie of the 2010s. I don't think you can really... When's John Wick? Is John Wick in contention? It's not for me, but it might be for some people.
I think it is. I think John Wick's in contention, but like I think as a film, I think Mad Max is just fucking like unreal with the way that it does everything.
And
I mean,
it's so it's like nonstop.
like it's not. It's just no. It's like I mean, it's just a car chase.
Yeah.
That's the film, and it doesn't really let off the brakes. I'm sorry, that was bad, but it's an excellent. What I'm saying, it's an excellent film. It's like the one. It's no, it wasn't. It wasn't intentional. It came out of my mouth, and I hated it.
Yeah, I. So why didn't it make either of our lists? For me, it's kind of in part why the movie was so good. We just said it was a fucking 2-hour car chase, the plot of which I don't even really know if I could relate to you at all, and I've seen the movie maybe a dozen times since 2015, and I don't. And we're getting an origin story of our main character, which I just don't.
It's like the plot of the film is that Mad Max is a really bad 3 days, and that's kind of just the plot of the film.
Yeah. Yeah, I listen. I will be in the fucking theaters day one to see this movie. I love Anya Taylor-Joy. I love Chris Hemsworth. We obviously talked about how we both love the first one. I don't know if I buy this. And Corey, you've seen the trailer. I have not. You said the trailer is
it was just like the CGI in it because what I was saying with the first Mad Max, the Tom Hardy Mad Max, was like the practicality of the whole thing, which is such like a very gritty feeling to the whole vibe, and like the CGI was pretty glaring in the trailer. And also, like, the entire idea of, like I said, I was making a whole new story. Going back and... I feel like this character is one of those things where... Like, listen, I was saying the same thing about Andor, so maybe I'm completely wrong. But, like,
actually,
this
that
character...
is a very good... It's before Andor premiered, both of us on this podcast said, why the fuck are they bothering to tell this story about this character from this movie we both liked, but didn't feel like needed any more expansion? And this is exactly the same thing. So
that's exactly the same feeling. And yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy is great. I mean, Chris Hemsworth looked like he was having a blast in whatever the fuck he was doing in the trailer. So I think it'll at least will be fun.
I wonder how much of this is the stories of Tom Hardy on the set of Fury Road are pretty infamous. And like a big part of why it has not come back for a sequel seems like because they couldn't get people to agree, like a genuine sequel. Because that movie does end in a way that we could have just come back to that exact world and explored what it looks like with Furiosa in charge.
I like Tom Hardy. We can just get another We can just get another guy.
Yeah. But I think it's tough when it's like Tom Hardy is. I don't know. I think people really didn't want to work with him again, and I wonder if that's why we're going into the past instead of revisiting that story in the present because we just didn't want Tom. But I will say this: another movie that didn't make my list. We're not going to talk about it. I'm just quickly mention it. It looks like Tom Hardy in this movie coming later this year, The Bike Riders, which I'm very excited for by Jeff Nichols, is like finally literally taking the mask off. It looks like the first time he's going to be in a movie as like a human being and speaking. So I'm interested to see if we're finally.
You didn't like Venom?
Did not like Venom, and for Corey to say that to me is offensive because Corey see Venom.
I'm never gonna watch.
He won't even do it.
You have to find me and strap me to a fucking chair to make me do it.
But let's talk about our top 10s, Corey.
Sure.
So your list is ranked, correct? It's not. It's from
my list is ranked, but at the same time, as I said with my top 10 of the year, I think it's very fluctuating. But
yeah. So let's start with your number 10 most anticipated.
Oh man, this is gonna
piece of art.
Yeah, this is gonna be hard to say. My first pick is the animated film coming at the end of this year, The Lord of the Rings: The War of Rohirrim.
This is the animated movie, right?
This is the animated one, and I don't think there's been a lot that's come out about it since. But I think the idea of making a big budget animated project for Lord of the Rings, which which is just a very I think that's what it kind of was with the disappointment with the TV show, where it's a very rich world, and they kind of just made that.
There are some people that really like that shit. That really like that show.
Listen, I love that for them. But the director of the film also did like the original Ghost in the Shell, which the original movie is really fucking good with amazing animation. So if he brings about half of that to a Lord of the Rings movie, I'm incredibly excited for this. And also, like, Brian Cox is in it, so he has a great voice. So not gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing about the success around the Spider-Verse movies and like not just like economic success, like they did well at the box office obviously, but the critical success. Like I think a lot of people saw Into the Spider-Verse for the first time because all their friends were like, it's the best thing I've seen in forever, you should see this even if you don't like animated movies. I think that has convinced Hollywood that they can make blockbuster animated movies for adults. We're getting the same I believe it's Barry Jenkins has an animated Lion King movie coming out, and it's like they got now.
Oh yeah, I saw.
Hated
Yeah.
the other Lion King they did, but Barry Jenkins directing a animated movie for Disney is like a big swing, which I'm interested in. I think the same thing with the Lord of the Rings. They've learned a lesson that you can get adults to go to the theater to see animated movies, which is could be fun. Could be making some more interesting stuff coming forward.
Super. I never actually got the chance to watch the Blade Runner animated show that he directed as well. But I'm interested. I mean, I loved Ghost in the Shell back in the day, and I mean, he's like been a background artist on like Akira. Oh, shit, I didn't know he's worked on Akira and Kiki's Delivery Service. So, like, I guess you're not really getting Miyazaki, but you're gonna get somebody who's comparable in the range of animation from Japan. I guess you really can't go too wrong with Kenji Kamiyama. I think I might have pronounced that right. Yeah. But yeah, there's like not really been anything released yet. They had concept art, which I don't think it's gonna actually match what it looks like. But I'm interested to hear more about this. It's very excited to see how this works out at the end of the year. Shay, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is a bit left field for this podcast, but it is one of the things I'm most anticipated about this year. I'm not a big I don't read a lot of novels like contemporaneously. Like I'm not the kind of person that knows what's on the New York Times bestseller and is picking stuff up like that. I usually read stuff from a few years ago because it's got good reviews or it ended up on some people's year-end list, and I pick it up a few years down the line. But one of the books that from recent years, actually, I want to see when this first came out. So the book I'm most excited for this year, Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange, who in 2018 wrote a book There, which I think won the Pulitzer Prize for fiction or won a number of awards. Read it. It's a truly devastating, excellently written book, and this is his follow-up novel to that first book he's written since then, and I'm very excited for it. I don't know a ton about what it's going to be, except for that I love There, and Tommy Orange is incredible, and I'm really excited for it. So yeah, that's Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. I don't have a ton more to say about it, but really, really interested for that one. It's probably going to be the only book I read that comes out in 2024 that isn't a comic book, but so yeah.
Yeah, I know. I need to actually get on my reading game this year. I think that's one of my new resolutions. That and watch every movie I can possibly.
It's really, for me, the tough part of diving into reading more novels and more long form literature was there's so much of it that I would just like. And I'm the kind of person that I don't like putting stuff down. So when I would start a book, even if I didn't like it, I'd be like, I gotta finish it. I've committed this much.
I do my 100-page rule now.
Well, that's what I started doing. I'm just like, if I don't like it, I can't commit to, because I want to actually read more books this year. And if I spend a month between all the thousands of comic books we read and the fact that I'm not a very fast reader in general, if I spend a month reading a book I don't like, it's a waste of my life. So I'm just like picking up books. If it doesn't grab me like pretty quick, I just put it down. I don't imagine I'll be putting Wandering Stars down at all. Corey, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is the X-Men's like last big arc they've been doing since like when we talked about originally the Jonathan Hickman relaunch a couple years back with the whole X-Men on a really weird orgy island is finally coming to a close. And I think I've liked the last 6 months of the books a lot, and kind of seeing like the Marvel Universe kind of rally around the X-Men has been a really fun book. Kieran Gillen has very much proven himself to be one of my favorite working writers. And the guy writes a lot of very good high concept stuff. The issue Rise of the Powers of X, which is like they're doing another back and forth 10 issue thing as a way to kind of conclude it all, was so fucking good. And also I had to read it 3 different times to understand it. Which is even another thing on top of X-Men. I don't have a lot to say if you haven't read X-Men, because I don't want to be like, go pick this up, because it's almost impossible to understand what's going on right now. But I'm hoping that they were able to. It's the X-Men experience, and I hope they actually end this whole arc well, and kind of keep it more contained. And I can go back and be like, what's the essential reading for all this stuff? because I thought it's been a really fun ride, especially catching up on it the last couple of months. I think they did something really well, and I think it reads a lot better contained. But not everything needs to be read, so I'm excited for this to end. And you know what? Maybe I'll sit down and actually like write down like here's what you actually should read from this entire mini saga. But I'm excited to see the X-Men. I guess it's fall, so I hope they do okay at the end, but maybe not. It's the X-Men; people are gonna die. You know, allegories never die. So, Jay, what's your next one?
Marvel's not gonna like kill the X-Men off.
Oh no, I mean like it seems like
soon before they make their cinematic debut.
So it's got the X-Men right now and also doing a vampire event this year. So I think it's like kind of those two things are Marvel's.
I wonder why they're doing a vampire event this year.
I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. Definitely not getting people all excited for something new. You know, never mind. All right, Jay, what you got?
My next up is the team returning from one of our favorite books of recent years, the team from Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Tom King, Bilquis Everly, Clayton Cowles, and Matthias Lopez are all coming back together for the Dark Horse book this year, Helen of Windhorn, which is obviously as a Dark Horse book is like original IP, which is really exciting, and has been described as a gothic fantasy epic, sword epic, which I just love all those words put together. The cover art already looks sick. We talked about that art, Bilquis Everly's art for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is like incredible, and them joining back up again is just really, really exciting. So I'm super interested in this. I don't know if there's a concrete date yet, but the fact that it's already been
looks like
March 2024, so we're close-ish.
Getting pretty close, yeah.
6-issue miniseries run, so that should be really exciting.
I mean, I got much else to say about it. I mean, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, if you can find it, I think it's still out of print many places. Still one of my favorite books. It is absolutely gorgeous to look at, and I didn't even know they were coming back together, so I'm really excited for this.
And one of the first, is it the first thing after Superman when the DC
it's definitely been DC Gun movies. I think it's definitely one of the first ones. I think they're in like short talks right now. Sorry for our friend from the Flash film. She's not coming back. It seems like that was like they're recasting her, but I believe that
I just don't understand why. There's
no order it's been in yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be the third film after Superman. James Gunn's making an Authority movie, which makes me very excited. A Batman movie, then Supergirl, I think.
Okay.
So.
All right. So soonish in the rotation.
Soonish, yes. Yeah. Soonish. My number 8 is a film that...
2, 1, action.
So good.
Oh, good.
Shot to the heart, and you're too late, darling. You give love a bad name.
Anyone but him. I didn't approve him. You know that. You are literally the last person on earth I want to see slap the shit out of you. I really could.
And I'm open to that in a safer environment.
You've been a ghost. No phone call, no text.
It's not like I didn't want to apologize.
You don't have to explain anything. It was just a flame. So how have you been? God, I hate that thumbs up stuff guy stuff.
I love David Leitch. His films are unabashedly fun. They don't try to get too deep, but it's always a really good time. You guys are not super familiar with him. I mean, he did Bullet Train, which
made both of our lists, and we did this in 2022, and did not disappoint.
No, it did not.
He's also done the only good Fast and Furious movie. I said it.
Hobbs
Fuck
and
you,
Shaw.
Vin Diesel. Come fight.
I like Fast Five, but Hobbs and Shaw. He's also did Deadpool 2, Atomic Blonde, and he was a co-director on John Wick.
Yeah,
I don't think he's made a bad film. I mean, they're all campy as all hell, but none of them I can consider are bad. And this one is
even the ones that are like I love Atomic Blonde. Anyone who's ever listened to this podcast knows my undying devotion to that movie. It's got some like plot weirdness going on, but it doesn't even matter because it's as he got his start as being Keanu Reeves' stunt double, and that's why he is like the master of action set pieces. I cannot wait to see this fucking movie about a stuntman directed by a stuntman.
Stuntman directed by a stuntman as he goes, I think he's searching for the missing star and he gets caught up in some shenanigans in like an action movie film thing. But it's got Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, Winston Duke, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Not really. I know Hannah Waddingham, Stephanie Shu, and
Ted Lasso most famously, and also from Shame.
Yeah, and it's a really really solid cast. I did forget that was her.
Yeah.
But
not a lot of like 6-foot British women. I think when they needed the 6-foot British women, they got to call her.
They got this like it's her, and the other one's already in the TV show, so we can't use it twice. I'm excited for the Fall Guy though. The trailer looked fucking amazing, and I can't wait to see it. Shay, what you got next?
My next up is a television show from Corey's new favorite creator, John Barton, who did The Lazarus Project.
I haven't watched the show yet, Jay.
I know. I'm
I'll
trying to bait you into watching good television.
I will watch it. I just watched Silo. Get off my case.
You're right.
Corey's been good this year.
But John Barton has done a lot of stuff recently that I really enjoyed, including Lazarus Project, I talked about recently on our Best of podcast. He's also done Giri Haji, which I really loved, which made my list in 2018, and is scheduled to make a Cloverfield sequel that's untitled at the moment. He's writing a Cloverfield sequel that I am cautiously optimistic for, because when Cloverfield is really good, a la 10 Cloverfield Lane, I think it's doing some of the more interesting stuff in the film industry. And then when Cloverfield is bad, a la when they take a shitty Netflix movie that was never intended to be a Cloverfield movie and just slap the word Cloverfield in the title and throw
fucking nuts.
Up. It's one of the worst things ever. But
still, I've never been so happy and disappointed in the span of 4 hours.
It was crazy. It was one of the best.
I watched it right after
ever.
I watched it right after Super Bowl. And
Yeah,
I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I think
that was so bad.
Genius idea. Here's this property that everyone likes. We found a movie in our recycling bin on our computer. Let's quickly restore it and then change the title of it. And then we'll throw a Super Bowl ad up. And people will rush their TV to watch it. And then it was one of the worst sci-fi movies I've ever seen. But Black Doves is not that. It is a spy thriller coming to Netflix later this year, starring Keira Knightley, Sarah Lancashire, Ben Whishaw, Andrew Koji, and created by Joe Barton. I'm really excited for this. I love a British spy thriller. I just talked about Slow Horses on this podcast not that long ago, and I love Keira Knightley.
A lot of animals in these British.
It's true. Yeah.
Makes you think.
But yeah, this is one of my most anticipated shows of the coming year, and I can't wait to see it. Corey, what's your number 7?
I was speaking of David Leitch in Deadpool. We got. I'm looking forward to Deadpool 3. I think I'm just excited to finally kind of get Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds after this like weirdly like sexual tension that they've had for the last 15 years. And regardless if this film's good or not, I know their interactions are going to be very enjoyable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's so much of just like, I guess, open ground really with what's going to happen. I mean, this is going to be, I think it's the longest break Marvel's taking between films, honestly.
And hopefully for the best. Hopefully we come out of this and Marvel has like fixed a lot of the problems we've had with it over recent years.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm excited for it. I think that all the Deadpool movies have been very enjoyable. Love Ryan Reynolds. Hate that the guy from Free Guy is getting more work.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm quite nervous for this. One, because of Marvel's recent
up and downs.
Yeah. And two, because I don't boil with seething rage when I think about Free Guy the way that Corey does. But I would not say I'm a fan of Sean Levy's work. I think he's never made anything I like. He directed a few episodes of Stranger Things that are, I don't know which ones specifically, that are probably okay, but other than that, he's done stuff recently like The Atom Project, the sequel to Night at the Museum, Real Steel. I'm just worried this movie's gonna suck shit, and that's why I didn't make my list, because I would love it to be good. I'm really excited for a good Deadpool movie. The guy that brought me the Pink Panther movie in 2006, starring Martin Freeman or Steve Martin, I don't know if it's the guy to bring me Deadpool 3. I just don't know. I hope I'm wrong.
My only hope is that he did the Running Up the Hill episode of the most recent season of Stranger Things, which was probably my favorite episode of that season. Okay. So I'm looking past my seething hatred for that putrid piece of cinema that was Free Guy.
What about the
and
internship? How do you feel about the internship, Corey?
I never watched the internship, so I can't
Fucking
tell
horrendous.
you. I bet it's the one with Robert De Niro.
No, that's the intern actually. No, the
who's in the
internship
internship?
is the Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson Google ad basically, where it's a 2-hour movie about how they're interns at Google.
That sounds
And it's
miserable.
basically just about how Google only hires geniuses, and the jokes are Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson are old.
All right, what's your number 7, Jeff?
My number 7 is
And I can't sell a fucking screenplay. What the fuck is going on?
listen, you gotta be white. Just be white, Corey. You really fucked up not being white. My number 7, speaking
mad.
of white people, is The Taste of Things by Tran Anh Hung, which is the, I think for me and for many people, surprise selection by the French Film Institute as their submission for the Oscars this year. So we are recording before the official nominations, but the short list of international films is made, and this movie made the short list. I have not got a chance to see it yet. It will it will go wide release in theaters in February 2024. I had a chance to see it actually last year and just chose not to because it didn't look super interesting to me. But the response to it has been incredible. I love Juliette Binoche, so there's that. I am not familiar with An Hung's work. I have not seen any of his movies before. I will do some research and check out some of his stuff. But he has obviously made a movie that has like really spoken to a lot of people. That it is. We're talking about before this whether or not Anatomy of a Fall specifically was qualified, because you have to be in more than 51% of the dialogue in the film has to not be in English, and we weren't sure if it made the cut. But if it is eligible,
I think
the
it
French
is.
chose this movie. I think so too. But that means the French chose this movie over Anatomy of a Fall, recent Golden Globe winner, which again doesn't mean anything. There's a reason we're not talking about Golden Globes in this podcast, by the way. Shout out to Christopher Nolan fans that you guys were like screaming at your TV when he won. That's weird, but good for you.
Hey, that is you. What are you talking about?
That's me. I'm a Christopher Nolan fan.
Don't put your family down, man. I know you were hitting up. You and your Snyder fans were all hanging out, being happy about Oppenheimer.
Listen,
And it's okay, man.
we both loved Oppenheimer, but made our top 10 lists.
It did.
It wasn't number 1 for either of us. Well, I'll say
No.
that. Not to spoil
It
the
wasn't.
episode.
No, it wasn't. That's okay.
But yeah, so The Taste of Things, the ostensibly best French movie of last year, coming to theaters in America in 2024. I am very excited to see. Partially out of like real curiosity. Like if this movie is better than Anatomy of a Fall, which was very high up on my list last year, it's going to be an otherworldly experience. So I can't wait. Corey, you're number 6.
My number 6 is the upcoming another comic thing. Marvel has relaunched their Ultimate comic book line, basically making kind of a fresh start for all these characters, giving the creators kind of basically let them do whatever they want to do. Mm-hmm. And the first issue of Ultimate Spider-Man came out, written by Jonathan Hickman and drawn by Marco Cicchetto. Was fucking phenomenal. I think it's probably been one of my favorite number 1 issues of a superhero book in a long time. I thought it did everything right. I thought the pacing was really good, and I'm really interested in this direction that we seem to be going with this character. Yeah, I mean, if you guys haven't read that first issue, I really recommend it. But yeah, I'm excited. There's going to be an Ultimate Black Panther. They're doing another Ultimates-like book. And the Ultimate X-Men book written by Kimiko. We just talked about her, too. And I feel kind of bad I forgot her name. But it looks very exciting, very beautiful. I think she does the watercolor for that as well. And I'm trying to stall. I remember her name. But yeah, Peach Momoko. We didn't talk about Peach, but it looks very cool, and I'm excited to see the entire what we seem to be kind of getting out from this.
My number 6 is another comic book thing. This book is the follow-up to the 2017 debut graphic novel by Emil Ferris. My Favorite Thing is Monsters was my favorite book of that year. And
Yeah, I figured.
Figured that this was going to be on my list.
Yeah, I saw
Well,
it, so I figured that was good.
It's been... So this book was supposed to come out, I think originally was announced in 2020 or like 2019. It was supposed to come out 2020, 2021. I don't remember exactly the timeline of that. But then apparently Ferris lost all of her work in a fire. Luckily, it seems like she was not hurt, so that's good. But that is then the book was just like she just had to start it all over again. And if anybody's read the first one, which I highly recommend, an incredible piece of fiction about like a young girl's point of view exploration of like life and death told through her sort of like her journal ramblings, and it's really fascinating way to tell a pretty familiar and grounded story that I really loved. I don't really know what a follow-up book would be, honestly. I never really thought I needed a sequel to this, but I love the first one so much. I'm really excited for it. Officially announced for April 9th, 2024. So that, fingers crossed, is really happening, because it's been like every year there's been announced again and again, but we have a real date. I think this book has really come out this time, and it's probably my most anticipated. I mean, spoiler, it's the number one book on my list. It's the most anticipated book I have, so I'm really excited for this.
You and your picking things that are actually art. My book about superheroes and the middle-aged Peter Parker dealing with his life and becoming Spider-Man is not important to you.
It's not true. As I've said on this podcast multiple times before, I love fucking kicky punchy shit as much as I love stupid art stuff. Don't get me wrong. But did you ever read the first book? My Favorite Thing is Monsters?
I don't think I actually ever did.
I think you'd really like it. I wonder, maybe in celebration of this book, come April, we'll do or maybe in March or something, we'll do a book club on this. And
I'm down.
Because I think it'd be really fascinating to talk about the stuff that Ferris is doing with storytelling and point of view, and the art is really, really cool. So
yeah, no, I'm down.
I love that book a lot.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's take a quick break and we'll come back and do our top fives.
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
Oh, you were finished. Oh, well, allow me to retort. What does Marcellus Wallace look like? What? What country you from? What? What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English and what? What? English, motherfucker! Do you speak it? Yes. Then you know what I'm saying. Yes. Describe what Marcellus Wallace looks like. What? Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn time. He's black. Go on. He's bald. Does he look like a bitch? What? Does he look like a bitch? No! Then why you try to fuck him like a bitch, Brett? He did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did, Brett. You tried to fuck him. And Marcellus Wallace don't like to be fucked by anybody except Mrs. Wallace. You read the Bible, Brett? Yes. Well, there's this passage I got memorized. Sort of fits this occasion. Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
And we're back to
Sup?
the Doolittle podcast.
Stop. You can't reference things that happened during the break.
I know, but it's really funny to me because the listener's like, I wonder what they were talking about. We were talking about Doolittle.
You guys can catch that all in the Patreon episode. Find our Patreon that doesn't exist.
And the reason we were talking about Doolittle is in relation to Corey's number 5. Corey, you want to talk about your number 5 really quick?
Jesus Christ, Chad. Mine's the upcoming Max
Hold on.
Based
You say
no,
Jesus
no, no.
Christ, Chan, like it wasn't the best segue of all time.
Let me finish.
Yeah, you're right. That's my
The Max miniseries of Sympathizer, based off the novel of the same name by Viet Thanh Nguyen. It's produced by, I think it's produced by Robert Downey Jr., which is why Che's mentioning.
Produced and starring.
Produced and starring, because Robert Downey Jr. plays several, according to Wikipedia page, several antagonistic roles.
No, I never killed anyone. We were all marching. We were on your side.
Really? And which side was that?
The side of the Vietnamese people.
The people in the north or the people in the south?
Well, all of them, I guess.
Guess we all look the same after all, right? I mean, I could be Viet Cong for all you know. A spy. How would you know? I'm not, of course. I love America.
This is one of my favorite ideas ever, where so The Sympathizer is a story about a Vietnam captain. It's a Vietnam War story. The show is classified as a black comedy, which I'm really interested in because the book, very good, Pulitzer Prize winning book. I would say is not. It's more black than comedy, but the idea that the whole cast, which looks like mostly Vietnamese actors who I admittedly am not familiar with, and also Sandra Oh is in it. So it's all Asian people, and then it looks like Robert Downey Jr. is going to play all of the evil white people, which the idea that Robert Downey Jr. was like, I will produce this show. I'm going to star in the show. You can put my name all over the place, and then what I will do is play all of the worst people ever in one of the worst and dumbest wars in American history. It's just, I love him. He seems like such a good dude.
And also, I mean, it's not really super, like, I don't want to say, like, smart, but I do love the idea of, like, a mostly led Asian cast of characters, and the one white guy plays everybody else. And I think it's very funny.
Yeah.
But the trailer looked great. I don't really know much about the show itself, but I mean, like, it looks like, I mean, it is what it is. It's still like a black comedy, but it looks like a very fun, like, spy thriller.
Admittedly,
yeah, no,
this was slap in the middle of my top 10, but I kicked it just so I could fit some more stuff in. But the creative team behind this, really interesting. Park Chan-wook did one of my favorite movies from recent years, Decision to Leave, who is show running this. And then, like I said, the cast is really great. We don't have a specific date on this, but it looks like it's pretty much confirmed to be dropping on HBO sometime this year. Really excited. A24, who is the production company behind this, is like, I mean, they are on the run of all runs. Their most recent, I would say, genuinely groundbreaking television show, The Curse, just ended last week. So,
Yeah.
Hey, what can you do, man?
Nothing. Be sad.
I might have to cut all that out. We'll see.
We'll
see how libelous all that was.
Fine with me.
Anything else to say about The Sympathizer before I go to my number 5?
In episode 315 of your podcast, next time on, we saw that you discredited A24 and said you were going to jump David Slasloff. No, nothing else for The Sympathizer for me. I'm actually really excited to see this show. But I don't think there's a release date yet, which is disappointing. But
no, but I think a lot of that is because,
they couldn't
as we
promote
talked
it.
about, David Zaslav has really like lit a fire inside the headquarters of Warner Media. So they're really scrambling, trying to figure out their content plans for 2024. I think this show is probably ready to go.
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
They're trying to figure out when they're going to release it, along with like how they fit it alongside House of Dragon and so on and so forth. They've got, listen, as shitty as he's done, they've got a lot of really interesting stuff planned for this year. This is probably most anticipated from them coming up, that or the Regime, so I just like am really looking forward to see if they releasing good stuff can overcome the fact that they're run by the dumbest man in Hollywood.
So stupid.
Yeah. Next up, my number 5 is
Your number 5.
The second in the Coen brothers experiment of making movies separate from each other. We had Joel Coen did The Tragedy of Macbeth.
I mean, the problem with it is, I'll always be like, it's one of the Coens. I'm never going to remember which one.
Well, I think we're going to have to start figuring out which is which, because I'm with you that I would just be like, those were the Coens. But Ethan Coen directing the, looks like, comedy thriller starring Matt Damon, Margaret Qualley, and Geraldine Vishiswanath. Also Pedro Pascal and Coleman Domingo. And it just, I love the Coens. I love their dark sense of humor. Really, they're the kind of people, their black comedy really connects with my sense of humor in particular, and their visual and aesthetic styling is also really up my alley. I'm really anxious for this movie. Its release date now is February 23rd, so we're like it's pretty close. In years past, I would have been worried about a January, February release for these kinds of movies because it usually means they're getting dumped. But I think we're past the point where there's like a cycle for these sort of movies, and I think we're just get good stuff all year round, or what people think is good stuff all year round. Also, just wanted to shout out he fucking signed up Ari Wegner, the cinematographer behind Stray and The Power of the Dog and Lady Macbeth, and a movie that I saw a couple weeks ago that I really enjoyed, Eileen. It looked really cool, to shoot this comedy thriller, so it's gonna look amazing. Ari Wegner, one of my favorite cinematographers working right now. I think she's Australian. That would explain The Power of the Dog. I think she's Australian. But yeah, really excited for Drive Away Dolls. This is going to be one of the more fun movies of 2024.
Yeah, I wasn't super familiar with this film. I'm excited for it though, from listening to you talk about it.
I've not seen the trailer, but I have heard from people that the trailer looks really funny and fun. So.
I like your hearing about trailers because it's always secondhand.
Yeah, I like when people watch a trailer because then I can ask them, because I want to know if a movie looks good or not, but I hate how much information trailers give you. I like to go into movies without plot.
Speaking of a film that looks really, really good, the Alex Garland vehicle, Civil War.
The three-term president assures the uprising will be dealt with swiftly.
Let me know if you want to try anything on.
Are you guys aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America?
We just try to stay out. With what we see on the news, seems like it's for the best.
Citizens of America, the so-called Western forces of Texas and California have suffered a very great defeat at the hands of the United States military.
Looks fucking phenomenal.
This is our first crossover. This is later on my list. It's my number 2 most anticipated of the year. Corey's got it at number 4. We are big Alex Garland fans on this podcast.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've got a lot of appreciation for Kirsten Dunst, especially after that season of Fargo that I watched. Nick Offerman plays the president. Her husband
he brought back the entire cast of Devs.
Good job, Jay.
Poster on my wall back there.
Good job, Jay. But it looks really solid. I mean, like, it seems like, the most outlandish part about this is California and Texas teamed up against the United States. But, that's the plot of it. But it's like a team of journalists who are going, like, chronicling this, I guess. But I think it's a really interesting take to do on this, where you could be like a civil war, a near future civil war, and like kind of do it from the military perspective. But I think taking it from a journalistic point of view is really, really cool. And I think this might be, I think A24 does a lot of interesting things and looks this up as an indie movie. Watching that trailer, they are no longer that.
Yeah.
This is a big budget blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
But
although I will say we've really entered, like we talked about, actually I don't know if we did it on the podcast.
The budget's only $50 million.
The Creator, which looks like a big budget movie and really isn't. I think a lot of people have really figured out how to hack the system here and are making. I don't know what the budget is on this. I wouldn't be surprised if A24.
It's $50 million.
That's pretty small.
I know. It looked good though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think we're really entering the age, which I'm really excited for, of cheap movies looking good. And
I can say though, watching the trailer, I can see how they can definitely put their budget into certain shots and like figure out a way to like. Because you are following. It's like not like there's gonna be a lot of shootouts, I think, but right. I'm interested in it. It kind of gave me like a bit of like a feeling around like Arrival, a sense from like an alien invasion, but from a different perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm really excited. Kirsten Dunst looks sad, and so it looks like a very good film.
Yeah. Like I said,
I'm excited.
My second most anticipated movie of this year, coming in 2024. I love Alex Garland, and he's one of those guys who makes seems like drastically different movies every time he gets behind the camera. From his 2022 movie, one of my favorites, Men, was like so different from Annihilation, which is so different from Ex Machina, but they're all, and then of course Devs, which we both adored, but they're all exploring like sort of similar tones of this pretty nihilist view on society, and Civil War seems like a real precipice of that idea in his head, that like we have entered the part of where the stuff that he sees inside that he doesn't like has reached a breaking point. I'm really excited for this movie. I think it's going to be fucking sick. Yeah. Corey, my number 4 is your number 1. So why don't we save it? We'll save it and we'll come back to that. Corey, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Not sure if there's a release date just yet for this, and I haven't actually watched a trailer for this. I was a little bit nervous about it since I was really excited to see Phoebe Waller-Bridge be on the writing and also starring in it. But I'm really excited to see Donald Glover in like something different than Atlanta. And I mean, I don't know what the show's going to really be going for. I'm hoping it kind of does a similar thing with the film where it's just kind of like a black romantic comedy kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, I'm just excited to see Donald Glover in something new. I
am with you. I was really excited for this show, especially when it was Donald Glover and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who I think either coincidentally or intentionally have written the two people who had written probably the two best shows in two best comedies in this millennia, teaming up to make a show about like a wife and husband lying and competing with each other. I thought that was a really cool dynamic. I really like Maya Erskine, so I'm not going to pretend like I'm really disappointed that she's replaced Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I think she's great. She's fantastic in Man Seeking Woman, one of my favorite unsung shows. So I'm really excited to see the show. I think obviously I have season tickets to Donald Glover. No matter what he does, I will be there to see it. So yeah, I'm with you. I even watched Lion King for this guy.
Same. I mean, I actually looked at the synopsis. So it's kind of like two spies are paired up together to impersonate a married couple. Mm-hmm. So different than the other one.
I think it is similar to. It's based on the show, the 1966 television show. I think not based on the movie. I have not seen the show, but I know the show is different from 1996. Is different from the movie in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, excited. I'm really just excited to see Donald Glover and Maya Erskine do a spy thriller comedy thing. So,
Chip, what's your next one?
My number 3 is my most anticipated show of this year, and that is another remake of so it's the 2024 Shogun on FX, the remake of the 1980 television show of the same name, based on the 1975 book of the same name by James Clavel. I haven't seen the original show. I haven't read the book. I don't know a ton about it. Except
I saw one trailer. It looks cool.
The trailer looks lit. And the cast is crazy sick. I think it looks beautiful. My one hesitation, the reason it's not like probably number 1 on my list, is because I don't know a ton about this creative team. Brought to you by Justin Marks, who has done a lot of stuff that I don't know, and then has done one thing that I really, really, really like, and that's why I'm like cautiously optimistic for this, and that is Counterpart. If you guys haven't seen Counterpart, it is unfortunately pretty difficult to watch now. It was a Starz show. It no longer is on Starz.
I call that one of a Che favorite, where you can't find it anywhere else. But no one else has watched it, but you ride or die for it.
It is
this and what the fuck is the other one? Oh, not Perry Mason. It's Dirk Gently.
Do I ride for Dirk Gently?
You did for a while.
I do like Dirk Gently. I know. Legally speaking, Corey, I need it on the record. I no longer ride for Dirk Gently.
Okay.
As a fervent Max Landis aficionado.
Oh, I forgot. Never mention. We'll never mention that show again. Never ever again.
But the truth is, when it was on, I did really, really like it. But Counterpart, really, really excellently executed, cool sci-fi idea. As Corey said, I ride for it a lot. I won't bore you with what Counterpart is yet again. He also did The Jungle Book, which is probably the only good live action Disney remake ever. He did I think he wrote the script for it. So listen, I think this show looks incredible. I Like I said, I love the cast, and if it's anything like as good as Counterpart was, I will enjoy it. Also, I just want to shout out Rachel Kondo, who is also co-producing it or co-creating it, but is a first-time credit, so I obviously don't know a ton about it. This is her first time doing anything. But yeah, really excited for the show. I did see the trailer. This is one of the things, like, I didn't know anything about it, so I watched the trailer.
It was just, I saw it on the background. I'm like, hold on, what the fuck is this thing going on? And it's like, it's one of those ideas. I'm like, wait, there hasn't been a show like around this kind of like, it's such like a like political intrigue.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming some cool fights or some shit. I got to rewatch.
Let's hope so.
I hope so, but really excited. My number 2 is a film that I hope happens this year, which is why it's not my number 1.
Yeah, it's honestly why I didn't include it on my list, because I'm unclear. It seems like the plan and the hope is that this comes out, and maybe it won't.
Maybe it won't. Yeah. My pick was Spider-Verse 3. Yeah. I mean, there's not really much to say about it. We both loved the second one.
Probably the greatest 2 animated movies this century.
And I'm assuming, honestly, if they just stick the landing on it. Yeah. So, but not much else to say about it. Hopefully it comes out this year.
Agreed. My number 1, a movie that I've been really looking forward to for quite a while, both in the abstract and in the reality, and this is Bong Joon-ho's follow-up to his unprecedented, record-breaking, I don't even know what to call it, his Oscar-winning Parasite of 2019, his first film, returning behind the camera, Mickey 17, starring absolute weirdo, genius freak Robert Pattinson, also including Toni Collette, Mark Ruffalo, Steven Yeun. It absolute...
Have not heard about this film before you said anything about this. So
I've been monitoring it for a while because it was announced a while ago that Bong Joon-ho's follow-up was going to be a weird sci-fi film, and it wasn't entirely clear exactly what he was going to do. He is adapting a book called Mickey 7 of the same from 2022. I've never read this book. Obviously, I don't really know a ton about it, and I don't think I will read it before this movie. I might check it out afterward. But this is also the guy who brought us Snowpiercer, one of my favorite post-apocalyptic.
This kind of like talks about like our whole like whenever we're getting the whole reincarnation conversation when it comes to things like this. Very much my entire thought process about the entire thing about it is like, if is it a copy? Is it actually you, or is it? I'm interested in this now. This actually seems really. I mean, it's basically kind of following the X-Men Resurrection Protocol thing. So.
Well, I'll read the premise. According to Wikipedia, the premise of this movie, Mickey 17 is an expendable, a disposable employee on a human expedition sent to colonize the ice world Niflheim. After one iteration dies, a new body is regenerated with most of his memories intact. Every single word in that sentence is both equally confusing, intriguing, and fascinating. Most of his memories, expendable, sent to colonize the ice world of Niflheim. I mean, it's just great. And everything that Robert Pattinson has been saying around the making of this movie, it's just, again, like I said, he's a freak and a weirdo, and I love every second of it.
I love that he was like, you can be Boy in the Hair, and he's like, I want to be the fucking bird. I was like, all right, this guy knows who he is, and I fucking love it for him. Love that for him.
I think Robert Pattinson is the exact perfect example. Him and actually Daniel Radcliffe are the exact perfect examples of what is like the good version of extreme childhood fame. They both cashed in super hard on Twilight and Harry Potter respectively, and then have just gone on to do all the really weird shit they really wanted to in their careers. And the fact that he is signed on to this, just really, he's got great taste, instills me with a lot of confidence for this movie. Not to mention that obviously Bong Joon-ho, one of the most exciting directors working right now. So,
and can I say like also another actor in the film, Mark Ruffalo, who I feel like is like such a weird thing where it's like now he's just like, I can get my money from Disney. Then I want to make some weird shit.
Yeah, for those of you who still haven't seen Poor Things, go
watch it.
Poor Things.
It's insane.
And probably see Poor Things.
I think maybe my favorite Mark Ruffalo performance.
Of course, if I don't even really know what else. And I love Mark Ruffalo. What's even in contention? I mean, I guess his performance in Zodiac is incredible in a very different way. But if we're talking the one I enjoyed the most, it's Poor Things by a million miles, and it's not really that close.
Very fair. I'm a big fan of 13 going on 30. All right, let's go for the last one from my list, and it was on yours as well.
It had to be, though, right?
It's the one that should have been out already, but Dune Part 2.
It's okay. I'm here. It's been a while since you've had one of those nightmares. Tell me, what was it about?
It's only fragments. Nothing's clear. You've been fighting the Harkonnens for decades.
Look!
My family's been fighting them for centuries.
Your blood comes from dukes and great houses. Here, we're equal. What we do for the benefit of all.
Well, I'd very much like to be equal to you.
Maybe I'll show you the way.
Deal with this prophet. Send assassins.
Fade Rother. He's psychotic.
Yeah, no, I've been putting off watching the original specifically so I can wait for another theatrical release, which I'm hoping they do.
What I need is an IMAX re-release.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Hey, David, listen. I know we said not too long ago.
We kick your ass.
We were going to jump you. That part of the podcast may have been cut out. I'm not clear on that quite yet. But do us a favor and re-release Dune into theaters.
Please. I want to show it to people.
We're still going to jump
it.
You.
Yes. But that's for other reasons.
Yeah. You can't. There's nothing you can do now.
You've already pushed off this.
Being jumped.
You already pushed this movie off in the first place. You owe us this.
I get why they did, because they were really in the era of movies hitting theaters and fucking hardcore bombing because they couldn't get any of their actors to go do press for them. So people,
I didn't realize how much of a problem that was, but I guess it is. I mean, listen, I just missed out on some movies coming out without checking apps and stuff.
I think that's a big part of it. Is literally not just because it's really valuable to your bottom line to have people like Timothée Chalamet, Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Zendaya, etc. in this cast who people really love, talking about how you should go see their movie. That really helps you. But it also is people don't see ads anymore. People are not really, unless you're watching football, you're not seeing ads. So unless you get your celebrities on social media to tell you what's in theaters, I think a lot of people just didn't know movies were coming out.
That's true.
And that's why they punted. I do get why they punted it. It annoyed me.
I get it. I'm very annoyed. But, I mean, shit, I'm excited for this fucking film. I've been waiting for this. Even we say oh no, we have to wait 2 years since the original one came out, and then this wait has felt fucking brutal.
And I don't think this is the last one.
No, I think he said he was going to do 3. So I think there's one more after this one.
And the only good news about the push is that in theory, because of the success of the first one, they were pretty confident they were going to do 2 and 3. So I imagine they're shooting or shot both, and 3 will not be too far down the line, is what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Maybe 2025. But yeah, I'm really, really excited for this movie.
I hope so.
In reality, it would have been probably my number one, but I just wanted to mix it up a little bit and it pushed it down.
It's okay. Your film sounds fascinating. I'm sure that's going to be fucking phenomenal. Yeah.
2017. I am really excited.
But yeah. Can't wait.
Should we run down our list really quick before we let
let's do it. Let's do it. I'll knock it off, though. Yeah. Damn it. The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. My number 9 is The End of the X-Men Krakoa Age. Number 8, The Fall Guy. Number 7, Deadpool 3. Number 6, Marvel Ultimate Comics line. 5, The Sympathizer. 4, Civil War. 3, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. 2, Spider-Verse 3, hopefully. And 1, Dune Part 2.
And my list, number 10, Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. 9 is Helen Winhorn by the team behind Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. 8 is Black Doves. 7, The Taste of Things by Tren An Hung. 6, My Favorite Thing is Monsters 2 by Emil Ferris. Number 5, Drive Away Dolls by Ethan Coen. 4, Dune Part II by Denis Villeneuve. 3, Shogun. 2, Civil War by Alex Garland. And number 1, Mickey 17 by Bong Joon-ho. Listen, as I said to Corey, as we said at the beginning of the podcast, this is a list of 10 that I cut down from like a list of 50. This year looks like it's going to be really, really good for TV, movies, comic books, etc.
Last year was a really good. Last year was a really solid movie year.
Yeah, and last year was a really great movie year. This looks like it might compete with how great last year was. And the way you should experience that is obviously through this podcast, and the way that you can do that is by following us everywhere. We're going to be talking about all this shit when it comes out. Our next episode is going to be about the Emmys, which are airing in a few hours from now.
Yes.
And then after that, we'll be talking about the Oscar nominations. And Corey's going to win Best Original Screenplay or whatever.
That's true. Best Original Podcast.
That's not going to work. The Emmys, I'm smoking crack.
Best Original Podcast on Television. I'm going to get it, man.
But after that, we're talking about the Oscars, and then we'll be talking about True Detective or Dune and like all the stuff we talked about. So don't forget to follow all over the place, including over there on YouTube. If you haven't checked out the YouTube, go over there and check it out. youtube.com/NextTimeOnPod, and drop us a like, drop us a subscribe, all that good stuff. Anything else for the people, Corey?
Nothing else from me.
I've been Che.
I've been Corey.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.